In the headlines, traditional worshippers resort to oath-taking to stop vote buying ahead of governorship elections. UK court remand Ekweremadu and wife on alleged organ harvesting charges, adjourns trial till August 4th. Over 940 intending pilgrims stranded in Kano, a few hours to Arafat. And on the foreign scene, Boris Johnson resigns as British Prime Minister. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has been asked to stop the All Progressive Congress from replacing Kabiru Masari as the running mate to the party's presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu. Shortly after Tinubu emerged as the APC flag bearer, the party submitted Masari's name to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as the vice presidential candidate for the meantime. However, two chieftains of the party and delegates, Zakari Maigari and Zubainatu Muhammad, approached the court to stop INEC from accepting requests for a change of vice presidential candidate from APC. The plaintiffs joined APC, INEC, Tinubu and Masari as defendants in the suit dated July 4, 2022. They asked the court to determine whether it was legally permissible for Masari to withdraw as the vice presidential candidate of the APC so as to be substituted or replaced with another person by the party with regards to the combined effect of sections 142 subsection 1 and sections 29 subsection 1, section 31 and 33 of the Electoral Act. And Traditional Worshippers Religion Association of Osun State, Southwest Nigeria, says it may resort to administering oaths to its members to discourage them from selling their franchise as the state governorship election remains a few days away. Trust TV Shafiu Suleiman reports that the decision is coming hours after President Muhammadu Buhari presented APC flag to the party's governorship candidate and incumbent governor, Gboyega Oyetola. Report.
The decision of the Traditional Worshippers Association is contained in a statement signed by its president, Oluseyi Atanda, who says it would have been a historic fiat if such oath could be administered on all inhabitants of Osun State to stop the ugly trend of vote buying. While challenging the leadership of both Christianity and Islam in Osun to also prevail on their members not to sell their votes during the poll, the religious group instructed its members not to sell or buy votes as it will amount to mortgaging their conscience. President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday presented flag of the All Progressives Congress, APC, to the party's governorship flag bearer in the state, Gboyega Oyetola, with a hope to make himself available at the party's campaign grand finale to cheer it to victory.
I believe by any standard I've done very well to deserve a second term.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has fixed July 16th for the Osun State governorship election. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And the trial of Ike Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice has been adjourned till August 4th, 2022. The couple were arraigned at Westminster Magistrate Court over alleged organ harvesting on Thursday. Earlier, counsel for Ekweremadu denied any form of exploitation in the case. The lawyers of the defendants argued that the victim lied about his age, but the prosecution insisted that he is a minor. The court then ruled that the victim is not a minor. The defendants' lawyers have informed the court that a bail application will be submitted before the next court date of August 4th. The Attorney General has given consent to take the case to the Central Criminal Court in London, which means the case won't be treated by the Magistrate Court. A high-powered Nigerian delegation was in court for the trial of the former Deputy Senate President. Meanwhile, a federal high court in Abuja has granted permission to former Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha to travel to the United Kingdom for medical attention. Justice Inyang Eden Ekwu Wednesday directed the registrar of the court to release the travel passport of the former governor following an application argued by Okorocha's counsel, Ola Olanipekun. The lawyer argued that Okorocha, who is also the senator representing Imo West, will not abuse the order and will return to the country for his trial. Although the counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Chile Okoroma, initially objected to the application, he later agreed. The judge ordered Okorocha to return the passport to the court's registrar not later than 3 days after his arrival in the country. Okorocha was in May arraigned on a 17-count charge of a 2.9 billion naira fraud. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Saidiya Umar Farouk, has warned independent monitors of the National Social Investment Program, NSIP, in Niger State against sharp practices in the course of monitoring and evaluating the beneficiaries of the program. The minister gave the warning at the onboarding of the 60 independent monitors and evaluators in the state. Represented by the Special Assistant Monitoring and Evaluation, Bilkisu Dauda Damisa, Farouk said the ministry is working with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and other security agencies to ensure that any monitor found wanting in the course of monitoring and evaluating the beneficiaries is prosecuted. The United States focal person, Barrister Amina Gwar, said a lot of successes were recorded in the last batches of beneficiaries through effective monitoring and evaluation.
FCC and DSS, and they are on the field. Whoever is found wanting, cutting corner or involved in sharp practices will be dealt with accordingly. There is no need for sharp practices. Our eyes are everywhere. We have our eyes everywhere.
This state wouldn't have come into Niger State. And the secret behind my success is the support I receive from the state government. For example, my governor does not really interfere in the implementation process of this program. He has given me a free hand, and I'm sure it will not be proper for me to betray him than to do my, so I have to do my best.
The Islamic State for West Africa Province, ISWAP, has claimed responsibility for the attack on Kuje Medium Security Custodial Center, Abuja, in which over 600 inmates, including Boko Haram commanders, were released. The group claimed the attack in a 30-second viral video which showed the gunmen setting ablaze vehicles parked in the facility. The Kuje attack comes after a convoy of cars carrying the advanced team of security guards, protocol and media officers ahead of the president's trip to Daura for Salah came under terrorist attack. And the remains of the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Aminu Umar, has been laid to rest according to Islamic rites at a village in Malumfashi local government area of Katsina State. The Assistant Police Commissioner was ambushed and killed by terrorists at Yauni village in Zakka district of Safana local government area. Abdullahi Yamadi has an update on the situation in Katsina.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
About 300 terrorists ambushed the Assistant Commissioner of Police and his team on their way to some farming communities on rescue operation. The unfortunate killing of the gallant ACP Aminu Umar will pose a serious setback to the already fragile security situation of the frontline local government areas of Katsina State. The Assistant Commissioner of Police was so much committed to sustaining the fight against terrorism and has been seen as one of the outstanding security personnel leading the most successful operations against terror. People in the frontline local governments are saying they are now at the mercy of God, as ACP Aminu Umar has been their savior. Dai village and other insecurity-prone local governments have been thrown into mourning following the unfortunate death of the police officer. Some 2 other police officers and 2 members of the local vigilante group were also killed during the dastardly attack. Government officials Heads of security agencies and other traditional title holders, as well as civil servants, attended the funeral prayer. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
And tributes continue to pour in following the demise of the Secretary General of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo, who died Tuesday night in Abuja at the age of 63. President Muhammadu Buhari, in a statement by his spokesman, Femi Adesina, said Barkindo's undeniable brilliance and legacies as a dedicated public servant will remain a reference point in the oil and gas industry, international development and the environment sector. Senate President Ahmad Lawan described Barkindo's leadership of the global oil cartel as exemplary, noting that the deceased worked assiduously to build cooperation between OPEC and non-OPEC countries to save the energy market at a time of global crisis. Adamawa State Governor Ahmadu Umar Fintiri, in a statement by his media aide, described the 6 years Barkindo spent at OPEC as glorious, praying Almighty Allah grant him paradise, adding that Adamawa has lost its proud son. You're watching Trust TV News Update, and still to come on the news, gloomy pictures ahead of Eid al-Kabir. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us.
That's great. It's good to see you.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now another look at our top stories. Traditional worshippers resort to oath-taking to stop vote buying ahead of governorship election in Osun. And UK court remands Ekweremadu and wife on alleged organ harvesting charges, adjourns trial till August 4th. And moving on to other news now, Executive Secretary, Kano State Pilgrims Welfare Board, Muhammad Abba Ambata, says over 940 intending pilgrims may miss the 2022 Hajj exercise from Kano State due to lack of flights. Ambata, who disclosed this to newsmen, said the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria has failed to honor a rescue arrangement for the past 2 days. He said early on Thursday, Azman aircraft with 400 passenger capacity departed Kano with only 250 intending pilgrims, leaving on ground over 940 pilgrims with state officials. Airlift of intending pilgrims from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia for the 2022 Hajj has suffered hitches, with many intending pilgrims left stranded or could not secure entry visa. We're now joined by Daily Trust reporter Farouk Shaibu, who covers activities of the National Hajj Commission. Farouk. All right, well, we'll bring you that subsequently. Meanwhile, with less than 72 hours to this year's Eid al-Kabir celebration, prices of vegetables and some essential commodities in Kano have been reduced, but the people's purchasing power still cannot match the reduced prices. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril, who went around some markets across the state, reports that government's inability to pay workers may have worsened the situation. The report.
Yankaba is one of the largest vegetable markets within Kano metropolis. The place is always booming, especially during a period like this. Tomato, onions, and other vegetables never cease from here. Few months back, a basket of tomato is sold at between 25 to 35,000 naira, while a bag of onions is at between 30 to 45,000 naira. Now the price has significantly reduced, but the purchasing power of the people is poor at the moment. People do not have money. Now that is Salah period, they are supposed to have money to buy the things they needed. Like me, I bought these tomatoes at almost 12,000 naira. But if you give me 11,000 naira, I will collect because there are no buyers. Back at the popular Kantinkwari textile market, things are somehow dry. Although women have taken over shopping here, but they say clothes are very expensive this year.
Everything is expensive. I came to buy veil and shoe, but I can no longer afford it. It's too expensive. I have to go back with my money because everything is expensive.
According to some Kano residents, state government inability to pay workers' salary is largely responsible for the poor purchasing power of the people. There is no money. Traders among us cannot sell since we don't have money to buy. I think government need to make things easier for people. With the high cost of sacrificial animals and the rising prices of food items and other essential commodities, things appeared bleak for ordinary people this year. And there are even concerns that these things could get worse in the next coming days unless something is done to ease the suffering of the poor masses. Idris Jibril, Trust TV News, Kano.
Meanwhile, the Kano State government has approved 10 days Eid al-Kabir Salah break for all public and private primary and post-primary schools in the state. A statement issued by a spokesman of the State Ministry of Education, Aliu Yusuf, on Wednesday, urged parents and guardians of pupils and students to take note that the break will commence on Thursday 7th to Sunday 17th July 2022. The statement directed all SS3 students writing NECO, NAPTEP and MBIAS examinations, as well as students on exchange program from other states at GSS Gwarzo and GGSS Shekara, to remain in their respective schools. Similarly, the ministry has directed all head teachers and principals to ensure that boarding students return back to their schools on Sunday, the 17th, while day students on Monday, the 18th of July 2022, respectively, as normal academic activities will start on the resumption day. Now, the rainy season is believed to fuel the spread of contagious diseases ranging from malaria, cold, flu, cholera, diarrhea, and hepatitis, among others. Now, these common diseases, which affect mostly children due to their weak immunity, experts say, can be prevented by adopting some safety measures. Aisha Salihu has more.
The rainy season, despite its soothing effect, comes with flooding, environmental pollution, distortion of daily activities due to the heavy downpours, and a number of diseases.
Once the rainy season starts, it disrupts flow of water, natural flow of water, so there is overflooding, and that overflooding carries some bacteria and infection from infective sources and contaminates drinking sources of water, like the sources of water for domestic use. So that's the connection, really. So when you have sewage disposal areas being flooded with water, and this water is carried on to areas where you have water for domestic use, that contaminates the sources. So patients with higher rates of diarrhea, in fact cholera is one problem that you expect to be higher in the rainy season. Things like diarrheal diseases with typhoid infection, salmonella, and the rest of them are things that you expect.
These diseases, however, are said to be preventable if certain precautionary measures are taken.
On proper drainage will also prevent that, ensure that we avoid water puddles accumulating indiscriminately in our environment and serving as such as sites for multiplication of the mosquito, which is the major agent of transmission, is the only agent for transmission of malaria. So we need to be able to have proper drainages, excellent infrastructure, excellent sewage disposal, a change in attitude and practices when it comes to the disposal of feces and sewage-related waste.
He enjoined public health facilities to adopt better approaches to handling the health needs of people in order to curtail the spread of diseases associated with the rainy season. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, will henceforth sanction distribution companies and other offenders who fail to comply with extant rules and regulations in the electricity industry. Babatunde Irukera, the Executive Vice Chairman of the Commission, made this known at the Electricity Consumer Complaints Resolution Platform organized by the FCCPC on Wednesday in Nasarawa State. Irukera, who was represented by Adam Abdullahi, Executive Commissioner, Operations of the Commission, said that non-compliance of DISCOs with the regulation of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission is a bane in the industry. He said that electricity-related issues ranging from poor service delivery in the industry are the highest category of consumer complaints received by the Commission. And now for a look at the foreign scene, where British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has resigned as Conservative Party leader after losing the support of his ministers and members of Parliament. The embattled leader has faced a growing rebellion within his party over a series of scandals. A Conservative leadership contest will take place this summer, and a new Prime Minister will be in place in time for the party conference in October. In the meantime, Mr. Johnson will continue as Prime Minister. He had vowed to keep going following a wave of resignations from the government over his leadership, but was urged to stand down by senior members of his cabinet, including newly appointed Chancellor Nadeem Zahawi. And in sports, home representation in the Genesis Scottish Open has been reduced to 8 players after Richie Ramsey withdrew before teeing off in the first round at the Renaissance Club in Edinburgh. An illness was cited for the Edinburgh-based Aberdonian pulling out of his home Open, which would have been made all more disappointing due to his attachment to the host venue of the $8 million Rolex Series event. Ramsey has played in 14 Scottish Opens in total, including the last 12, and was the inaugural winner of the Jock McVicar Memorial Award as the leading Scot last year. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.